Welcome to Startup PR 101. I'm going to try and give you a crash course in what I know about startup marketing and PR from my experiences in Wise and Bolt, both well known as Baltic unicorns. And currently I'm working as CMO at Grünfin, which provides a sustainable investing platform for people who care about the impact we have on the world. But let's get started. I will talk about three main topics or keywords: strategy, message. Both of those two are quite interlinked. And then get a bit more tactical on media relations. But we'll get into more detail right away. So first, let's talk about strategy. And it's a fancy word, but in essence, it boils down to pretty simple steps. First of all, I would always suggest to figure out what the problem is that you're trying to solve with PR and marketing. So what does it mean? Marketing could be a way for you to acquire customers, which is usually what it is. And for an early stage startup and a growth stage startup, that's usually the case. So the main idea is to drive business. But marketing and PR can both be also ways to overcome some challenges or open up new businesses. So for example, maybe PR is a way for you to actually get some kind of regulatory approval even before you can start business. Or you may need to actually, before you're able to sell your product to customers, you may need to raise awareness about the issue that you're solving before you can even start selling them a solution. What you can do is you can easily use a SWOT framework to kind of map out what the main things are that you would like to solve with PR. And I suggest you pick a couple, because you will not be able to focus on more at a time, given that you're in an early stage and likely to have resource constraints. So secondly, you probably have an understanding already of who your audience is. So it's not like you're finding this out for PR and marketing, but it may be useful to figure out or think about some of the facets of your audience that you haven't had to deal with before when you think about product. So understanding which channels your audience, which media channels or which communications channels your audience uses, and how to get to them as close as possible is one of the key things to think about when it comes to messaging or when it comes to your PR strategy. And I would like to stress that bigger is not necessarily better. So what this little graph shows you is that there's an inverse relationship, inverse correlation between engagement and reach. Usually, the bigger a communications channels or a media channels reach, the less engagement you get from that piece, and vice versa. The closer you are to someone, the likelier it is to have better engagement. So just to compare, a one-on-one engagement, one-on-one conversation with anyone is always likely to have more engagement for you with that particular person than reaching them via a newspaper article. Both have their places, but I would suggest go as close as you can, because that's where you actually need to put in maybe the least effort to change their minds, to sell them your product, to affect them, impact them in any way. When you've figured out what your channels are, again, don't overdo it. Don't think you need to be everywhere at once. In fact, in some channels and for some audiences, you only need to be there sort of on a fairly infrequent basis. And then there are some channels which maybe are the most important for you, where you actually need to have daily presence. Maybe you need to be engaging with your audience in social media once every day or three to five times a week. And when it comes to PR, you might just need a piece coverage per quarter, or a milestone piece every 6 months. So it really comes down to, again, how close you can get and where your audience is. And this little chart that you see, this could easily just be your foundation for your message and PR strategy overall. Everything you will do in terms of PR and also in terms of marketing will fit in that box. And every time you're confused of what you should be doing, you can go back to that very basic strategy, and this will get you back on course. So now, message. When you're talking to your audience, you obviously want to have a very clear message, a very clear thing that you're communicating. Otherwise, this is all in vain. The very basic process of getting to your key messages is a four-part process that I've defined here. So, firstly, take a group of people who are close to customers, who are the founders in your company. Basically, the group of people that has a good understanding of what your business is about and who your customers are. Those people in that group, do a brainstorm. Like get all the post-its you can. Find a nice wall. Jot down those ideas about your vision, about the way you are changing the world, or actually how you are fitting into that world around you that has changed. And don't forget to be very clear on your value for your customers. So don't go into features as much as the value that you're providing to your customers. Once you have a wall full of those ideas, these can be words, phrases, sentences. Vote as a group on what you think are the most salient, the most crucial ideas there. And this takes you to the second part of this process, which is copywriting. And obviously should be done by somebody who really is passionate about writing. You may have someone like that in your team already. You may need to just ask for external help, but I mean, we're considering that you're probably operating with limited resources. Try and put those ideas that you came up with into words as good as you can. Google Message House. So this will give you a framework of like how to structure your message. It will show you that you should come up with sort of like an umbrella statement, the main message about your company, and then 2 or 3 supporting messages that zoom into some of those aspects of your message. And then you will have a foundation of proof points that actually show in real life how you are delivering on your message. Then validate. Get back with the same group and ask them to provide feedback, or go through feedback with everyone until you are clear, until you can settle that these are the messages you will commit on. And then, as a 4th step, go live. And this doesn't mean store the result in a Google Doc somewhere where nobody can read it. No, it should be the cornerstone of every outgoing message. Like, is it the landing page copy, social media posts, some marketing copy, or briefings for PR interviews. This is your these are the materials you should base everything on. You can put them all down in a messaging document. Again, this is just a tool for you to then use and spread among your team. I have a template online you can find easily. You can make up your own. That's completely up to you. And importantly, use every opportunity to deliver on your main message. And this means, finding different ways to say the same thing over and over again in different channels. So you can see two ways that TransferWise is communicating here on this slide with their audiences. One is a Financial Times piece, and the subheader there says TransferWise wants to shake up personal banking, make services cheaper, faster, and more transparent. So this is about transparency. But then, if you look at the picture, I suppose the famous picture of a TransferWise stunt in London with the same two co-founders there on the picture. This is also about transparency. So the hashtag for the stunt was nothing to hide, and this was also the landing page name created for this specific occasion. So this all ties together to the same message that you're trying to deliver. Remember, you're still small. There's only so much a person can remember about you. So make sure that the one thing that they remember sticks with them, and be sure to deliver it sort of tirelessly. Even if you start feeling tired about this, the rest of the world may just hear from your message for the first time or for the second time, and that it takes a couple of times once they start to remember you. Now the third element of this, and this is getting into more of the how. So media relations, obviously, if you have decided that PR is actually a good channel for you and it works for you, and you want to use it to get to your audiences, the first thing that I would advise: read, consume, watch the news that you're trying to get into. So this is a tweet from a now ex journalist at TechCrunch, Steve O'Hear, who recently left journalism for a startup. But the point he's making is there's a very basic level of media literacy that you need to have in order to just not make, let's say, stupid mistakes. So if you're not a really a major media consumer yourself, and this is not your thing, ask someone who reads those newsletters, those news online outlets on a daily basis, or ask someone who knows how the inner workings of a newsroom, how they operate, and you will have a much better understanding of how you should pitch stuff, or how you should approach a journalist, or what's the story and what isn't, and also just be a decent human being. I mean, that's what everything starts from. I guess if you're interacting, be nice, be courteous, understand that they are doing their work as good as they can. Another quote from Steve O'Hear. I mean, I guess this goes back to being a decent sort of human being. Of course, media relations is transactional to some extent. So you are providing something that the media hopefully wants. Sometimes you're trying to build it up in a way that it is more desirable, making it an exclusive for a media outlet, sharing the information with them under embargo, so they are aware before the news drops that this is something that's that might be important for them to write about, and they will have the time to write about if you share it with them under embargo. But don't don't just sort of ghost ghost them afterwards, or keep those relationships going outside of your pitches as well. This can surface good unexpected opportunities for you sometimes to jump in on a story where you even hadn't planned to, or this can just get you a bit of name recognition or a bit of name awareness for that journalist who's getting maybe 100, maybe 200, maybe 500 pitches in their inbox every day. And as with brand awareness, the name awareness of browsing through your inbox and seeing somebody who's provided something useful to you in the past, you're just more likely to click on that email versus somebody who you haven't heard of before. I know it's hard to try and do this on top of everything else that you're trying to manage in your startup. You can use some tools. So this is a screenshot from my TweetDeck setup, which actually scrolls vertically or scrolls even further horizontally. But this is the way that I try to keep myself in the loop of what are some of the EU tech journalists talking about. Are there conversations where I can provide some use? Are there some opinion leaders that are saying things that my current company or client or myself could be useful to participate in? So just use the tools that are available to be TweetDeck or be it some social media monitoring tools like Mention. This will make the engagement easier for you. And the third and the last Steve-O here tweet here, but I just wanted to show you how sort of an organic Twitter relationship looks like, and this is between Steve and TransferWise co-founder Taavet, and they're sort of reminiscing here about the first pitch from TransferWise to TechCrunch, which actually ended in TransferWise's first customers and set up the success story that we know today. So I'm sure Taavet wasn't alone in doing this. Maybe in the early days he actually was. In the later days he sure wasn't. But he's still engaging with the people in the industry that he's worked with, and as a PR person, you're never as valuable to a journalist as the CEO or the founder that you're actually representing. So you should be trying to get out of the way as much as possible as a PR person, and you as a founder, on the other hand, should be the one that actually knows the value of those relationships and how they can help you in your next pitch. So going back, these are the sort of three key points to think about when it comes to your PR as well as marketing strategy in the early stages. When it comes to strategy, just have a plan, and the plan contains the very basic, simple elements of knowing who you're talking to, which channels you should be engaging in, and how often you should engage. Then knowing that higher reach doesn't always bring more engagement. It may be vice versa. Sometimes going into smaller channels may be more useful to you, and make sure that you don't overdo it or don't overstretch yourself. This is the time for focus, and you're not going to be able to get a PR story in the news every week. If you get one every 6 months, that's a good start for you. When it comes to messaging, go through the process. You can find more resources online. I also have a longer post on how to sort of approach setting up your key messages. And then once you have them, make sure that you actually use them, store them somewhere so they're available for everyone in the team, and always make sure that throughout every channel you're delivering on those messages. And then when it comes to tactics, understand how the media works, have basic media literacy. This is important for you to, you wouldn't do anything else. You wouldn't build product without knowing how it actually works, or how users expect something to be done in product. So know how the media works, know how journalists work, and you will have an upper hand already. And make sure that those relationships that you build via yourself, maybe via a PR agency, make sure that you keep them, and make sure that you engage with those people that have helped you throughout the process and have delivered value to you. So deliver value back to them. This is the basics of startup PR, and I would say, above all anything technical, these are the things that you should remember and that you should start from. Thank you.